He settled into his first-class seat, calm, courteous, boarding pass ready. No one noticed him, not even the flight attendant, until she paused, glared, and ordered him to leave. Publicly, she accused him of deceit, shoving his arm, sending him to economy. She claimed he didn't belong, forcing him to the back. No one defended him. He stayed silent, made one discreet call. The flight stalled. The crew scrambled. The woman who thought she ruled the cabin realized her grave mistake. Ethan, 19, boarded quietly, wearing a gray sweatshirt, tidy sneakers, and slim jeans. Earbuds dangled around his neck, phone in hand. He moved to his first-class seat with ease, not flaunting, just certain it was his. He stowed his bag, sat, and opened a novel. Passengers barely glanced his way, seeing just another young guy traveling solo. Ethan was fine with fading into the background. He was used to it. Then the flight attendant appeared. Her name was Carla, mid-50s, uniform pristine, hair in a severe bun. She glided down the aisle, nodding at others with forced warmth. Spotting Ethan, her face tightened. She stopped, scrutinizing him. "You sure you're in the right place?" Ethan looked up, puzzled. "Yes." She crossed her arms. "Show me your ticket." He pulled it from his pocket. She grabbed it, eyes narrowing as she read, then flicked back to him. "This says first class," she said sharply. "I know," he replied calmly. Carla leaned closer, voice cutting. "There's a mix-up. You can't stay here." Ethan's stomach knotted, but he held firm. "This is my seat." Her eyes flashed. "Move to the back, now." Ethan didn't budge. Carla snapped, "You're delaying us." She swiped at his phone, her hand striking his with a loud smack. Gasps rippled nearby. No one spoke. Ethan rose, grabbed his bag, and walked to the last row. In economy, he sank into a cramped seat, armrest wobbly. He exhaled, typing a quick message. "She hit my hand, kicked me out. I'm in the back." He sent it, staring out the window, knowing this wasn't over. Miles away, a phone buzzed in a sleek office. Daniel Harper, 50s, billionaire owner of tech firms and the airline's majority shares, read the text. Ethan's father didn't yell. He dialed a number, his voice ice cold, commanding immediate action. On the plane, Carla sipped coffee in the galley, smug. She'd handled the problem. A younger attendant, Mia, hesitated. Was his ticket wrong? Carla scoffed. He didn't look first class. Mia frowned but stayed quiet, uncertain. The intercom crackled. "Carla, cockpit now." Her coffee paused mid-sip. She forced a smile, brushing off Mia's concern. "Routine check," she said. But a flicker of unease stirred as she walked, feeling passengers' eyes on her. In the cockpit, Captain Mark Ellison, 35 years flying, stood sternly. "Close the door," he ordered. Carla complied, heart sinking. A screen flickered with a man's face. James Carter, Operations Director. "We have a problem with Seat 2A. Carla stiffened. "I fixed a seating issue," she said. Carter's voice was sharp. "Did you verify the ticket?" She faltered. It seemed off. The captain glared. "You didn't follow protocol. You didn't know who he was." "He's just a kid," Carla stammered. Carter cut in. "That's Ethan Harper, Daniel Harper's son." Her stomach dropped. "The flight's grounded until you apologize publicly and return him to his seat," the captain said, unyielding. Carla's breath caught. "In front of everyone?" Ellison nodded. "You embarrassed the wrong person. Fix it or you're done." She turned, legs heavy, stepping into the aisle. Whispers followed her, passengers sensing something big unfolding. The cabin buzzed quietly. Carla's confidence crumbled with each step. Eyes tracked her, some curious, some judgmental. She reached the back, spotting Ethan in the last row, earbuds off, gazing out the window, his posture calm but tense. She cleared her throat. "Mr. Harper," she said, voice strained. "There was a misunderstanding. Please return to first class." Ethan didn't respond immediately. Passengers turned, some filming. The air grew thick with anticipation, waiting for his move. Ethan turned slowly, eyes steady. A misunderstanding? His tone was even but piercing. Carla nodded, flustered. "I misjudged the situation." He stood, adjusting his bag. "You didn't check anyone else's ticket, just mine." The cabin fell silent. Carla's face flushed. "It wasn't personal," she mumbled. Ethan stepped forward. "You decided I didn't fit." Passengers watched, riveted. "I'll return," he said, "because it's my seat, not because you said so." He walked past her, unhurried. They moved up the aisle, Ethan's steps deliberate, Carla trailing. Eyes followed, some wide, some guilty. He reached 2A, sat, and opened his novel. Carla lingered, unsure, then muttered, "If you need anything, let me know." Ethan ignored her, flipping pages. Carla retreated, hands shaking. In the galley, Mia watched silently. Carla grabbed a tray, fumbling with cups, avoiding eye contact. "You okay?" Mia asked softly. Carla's voice cracked. "I handled it." But her tone was hollow. She rearranged items needlessly, her authority gone. In first class, Ethan sat still, book open but unread. Passengers now glanced at him differently, sensing the weight of who he was, what he'd done. A message buzzed Ethan's phone. His father. "Stay calm. More eyes are on this than you know. The plane will move, but on my terms." Ethan replied, "She apologized, but she doesn't get it." "She will," came the response. In the cockpit, Ellison spoke quietly with ground control, receiving updates. A direct order from Harper held the flight. Whispers spread among the crew, some curious, some anxious, wondering who the young man in 2A really was. Passengers murmured, restless. Ethan stayed composed, but his mind churned. It wasn't just the shove, it was the assumption he didn't belong. The sting wasn't the hit. It was the silence of those who watched and did nothing. In economy, passengers whispered about the scene. "He must be someone big. She pushed him, messed up. I should have spoken up." Their regret echoed, but no one had acted. Now their silence felt louder than their words. Carla stood in the galley, gripping a tray, heart racing. She'd followed orders, apologized, but the weight of her choice lingered. It wasn't a mistake, it was a decision, one she'd face at 30,000 feet and beyond. The plane sat at the gate, fully boarded but unmoving. Passengers shifted, checking watches, murmuring about delays. The cabin hummed with unease, everyone sensing something had shifted, even if they didn't know the full story yet. Ethan sat in 2A, thought sharp. The humiliation wasn't the shove, it was the look, the assumption he wasn't first-class material. His phone buzzed. "She's off the flight. You'll land, but she won't fly today." He exhaled, steady. 3 rows up, an older woman glanced at Ethan, half curious, half ashamed. She opened her mouth, then stopped. Ethan didn't react. He was used to hesitation, to people seeing but not speaking, their silence louder than words. In the galley, Carla paced, nerves fraying. The captain's tone, the director's voice, Mia's silence. It hit hard. She'd judged passengers before, redirected those who didn't fit. No one had ever pushed back. Not like this. Mia broke the quiet. "They're waiting for you." Carla's eyes snapped up. "The captain?" Mia shook her head. "The inquiry, it's not done." Carla grabbed the phone, hands trembling, dialing the cockpit, dreading what came next. "This is Carla," she whispered. Allison's voice was flat. "Prepare to leave. Security's at the gate. You're off this flight." Her heart sank. "Removed?" she gasped. "Owner's orders. Someone else takes over." She hung up, numb. Mia watched, silent. Carla gripped the counter, reeling. She'd been untouchable, until now. In 2A, Ethan leaned back, eyes closed, letting her feel the weight of being pushed aside, just as she'd done to him earlier. Carla stood frozen, pulse pounding. She'd always ruled the cabin, confident, respected. Now she was unraveling. Her sixth sense for spotting trouble had failed. She'd acted loudly, publicly, and now faced consequences before takeoff. Mia handed her a form. "Removal protocol, sign it." Carla stared, stunned. "Seriously?" Mia didn't respond. The cabin lights dimmed, signaling final prep. Carla signed, hands shaking, her name now tied to her exit. The captain's voice came over the intercom. "Due to a staffing change, we're slightly delayed. Stay seated." It was vague, but whispers grew. "Staffing change? Who's out?" Eyes drifted to the galley, then to Ethan. Carla felt the shift, her authority gone. Passengers watched, some satisfied, knowing she'd targeted Ethan. She walked to the front, steps heavy, past curious faces, her once confident stride now stiff, her career slipping away. Ethan sat quietly, earbuds off, watching Carla pass. Her eyes met his briefly. She saw not a kid, but someone with quiet power. Her breath hitched, but she moved on toward the open door, security waiting. The jet bridge held a guard and a woman with a clipboard, both silent. Carla stepped off. The door hissed shut. Inside, the cabin exhaled. Ethan adjusted his seatbelt, calm as whispers swirled around him. Passengers shifted, some guilty, some respectful. Ethan picked up his novel, not reading, just holding it. He'd changed everything without a word. The cabin felt different now, heavier, aware, like a truth had settled in. No one spoke loudly, but the air carried weight. Ethan stayed still, one hand on his book, the other on his phone. A single call had frozen the flight, shifting power to the quiet young man in 2A. Mia offered drinks, pausing at Ethan's seat. "Water?" she asked softly. He nodded. "Just water." Her gaze lingered, not pity, but respect. She moved on, leaving him to the cabin's heavy, watchful silence. In the cockpit, Ellison checked his watch. The delay hit 30 minutes, unusual, but Harper's orders were clear. "Replacement ready?" he asked. 5 minutes, came the reply. He nodded, resuming takeoff prep, uneasy but focused. Ethan sipped water, catching his reflection in the glass. Across the aisle, an older man in a navy jacket cleared his throat. "I saw it all," he said quietly. "It was wrong. I should have spoken up." Ethan didn't respond immediately. The man fumbled. "I didn't think it'd escalate." Ethan met his eyes. "Why didn't you speak?" The man hesitated. "Wasn't my place." Ethan nodded. "That's where it starts, with silence." The man looked away, exposed. A woman nearby watched Ethan, her eyes thoughtful, not speaking but aware. Their inaction weighed on them now, not because of Ethan, but because they'd let Carla's assumption go unchallenged. In economy, passengers replayed videos of the incident. "It'll go viral," one whispered. "Should hit the news." They weren't joking. This was real. Ethan's calm walk to the back had sparked something bigger than the flight. Ethan's phone buzzed. His father. "Footage is out." "News is calling. You've made your point. I'll handle it." Ethan replied. "She's gone, but she doesn't get why." "She will," came the reply. "The world's watching." The plane rolled forward, engines humming. Ethan sat still, surrounded by passengers now hyper-aware of him. Not for wealth or power, but for his quiet strength. He'd shifted everything without a shout, just one call. As the plane lifted off, Ethan leaned against the window, city lights blurring below. The cabin's tension didn't fade, it grew. Passengers pretended to relax, but their eyes kept drifting to 2A, to the young man who'd changed it all. The slap wasn't the worst. It was the assumption he didn't belong, the silence that followed. Ethan rested his head, thoughts racing. He hadn't surrendered to that silence, and now the cabin felt the weight of his choice. Mia passed by, offering snacks. She paused at Ethan's seat. "Anything else?" He shook his head. "No, thanks." She leaned in slightly. "You didn't deserve that," she whispered. Ethan's eyes softened. "Thanks for saying it." Mia moved on. Across the aisle, the man in the navy jacket spoke again. "I froze," he admitted. "Should have acted." Ethan looked at him. "It starts small," he said. "Silence lets it grow." The man nodded, ashamed. The man glanced at his phone, a headline glowing. "Teen ejected from first class. Turns out he's airline mogul's son." A blurry photo captured Carla's confrontation with Ethan. Comments flooded in, praising his calm, condemning her actions. "He handled it with grace," one wrote. "This is why bias training matters." Another, "She hit him and thought she'd win." The man looked at Ethan, admiration in his eyes, seeing quiet strength in the young man's stillness. In the galley, Mia read the same story, exhaling softly. Other attendants whispered, avoiding the topic, but it consumed them. "Will Carla lose her job?" one asked. Mia shrugged. "It's not in her hands anymore." They fell silent. Ethan opened his novel but didn't read, his mind on the aftermath. The video would spread, his father would address the board, but the real shift was here. Passengers saw the truth, and someone might speak up next time. The plane leveled at 35,000 feet, seatbelt signs off. Passengers relaxed, but the cabin's pulse lingered. Ethan stayed still, sipping water, ignoring the glances. People paused movies, left drinks untouched, their thoughts circling back to the incident. Ethan checked his phone, missed calls from reporters, emails with urgent in the subject. His father was likely managing it, lawyers involved. But Ethan didn't want headlines. He wanted Carla to see him as human, not a threat. In economy, a woman scrolled Twitter, the video now at 25,000 views. "He didn't yell, he just walked," a comment read. That silence was louder than her voice. The internet amplified what Ethan had kept quiet, making it unstoppable. In the cockpit, Ellison got an update. Incident under review. No media comments. He wasn't surprised. This flight would linger in memory, not for turbulence, but for a 19-year-old who halted an airline with one calm call. Mia sipped water in the galley, reflecting. She'd seen chaos before, panicked passengers, emergencies. But this was different. Ethan's restraint, his quiet power, had reshaped the cabin. It didn't need noise. It just needed to be seen. Another attendant, Sarah, leaned in. "Will Carla fight it?" Mia paused. She'd have to admit what she did first. Sarah sighed. People dodge that part. They stood quietly, the weight of the moment settling between them. Ethan's phone buzzed. His father. "Inquiry's on. They want your statement. I'll handle it." "Rest," Ethan replied. "Let it grow." Change needs this. He set the phone down, thoughts on Carla's assumption, its cost now clear. Passengers grew restless, unable to focus. A man closed his tablet repeatedly, glancing at Ethan. Others looked away when he shifted, sensing his presence. The cabin knew something big was unfolding, even without an announcement. In economy, a woman saw the clip trending. now at 90,000 views. He exposed her with calm, a tweet read. Silence was his weapon. The internet roared, turning Ethan's quiet stand into a global conversation. Ethan felt the shift without checking his phone. His father had taught him silence creates space for truth. That space was filling now, passengers' glances revealing their unease, their awareness of what they'd witnessed and ignored. Mia stopped by Ethan's seat, resting a hand on the opposite chair. "Sorry, I didn't speak sooner," she said softly. Ethan met her eyes. "You saw it. That's enough." She nodded, understanding his resolve. "People hide behind rules," Mia added. "You didn't let her." Ethan exhaled. "She exposed herself." Mia glanced where Carla once stood, now a distant memory. "Anything you need?" she asked. Ethan shook his head, calm. The man in the navy jacket leaned over. "I keep replaying it," he said. "I just watched." Ethan waited. "It's not enough to feel bad after," the man admitted. "No," Ethan said. "It never is." In the galley, Mia checked crew messages. The inquiry named no one, but all knew it was Carla. She'd been commanding, selective with her warmth. Now, her silence, shove, and exit left justice trailing close behind. The cabin dimmed for service. Whispers replaced small talk, all about Ethan, Carla, the shift. He carried a story now viral. While she'd vanished before takeoff, her absence louder than her earlier authority. Ethan leaned against the window, giving the impression of rest. He felt the stares, the curiosity. Everyone saw him return to first class, saw Carla escort him, and now her absence confirmed the truth. His phone buzzed, his father. Email sent to crew. Investigation's official. Public statement soon, you're trending. Ethan sighed. He didn't want fame just to blend in, but some judged him before knowing his name. The man in the navy jacket spoke again. "I train on bias," he said, "but seeing it's different." Ethan nodded. "It's always clear close up." The man sighed. "I froze like the rest." "You weren't alone," Ethan said. The man shook his head. "Still wrong." Ethan let the silence sit. In the galley, Mia read a directive. Review anti-discrimination policy, log all incidents. The cabin's balance had shifted. Mia approached Ethan, crouching low. "People are talking," she whispered. "Not against you. They're wondering why they didn't act sooner." Ethan nodded. "They saw me walk away and thought I'd stay quiet. I didn't." Mia stood, moving on. The cabin's quiet wasn't just altitude, it was reckoning. This flight wasn't just travel. It was a message. Passengers stirred, unable to settle, their minds on Ethan, on what they'd witnessed. Hours passed, but the cabin stayed restless. Ethan sat silent, phone untouched, novel closed. He watched the glances, the straightened postures when he moved. They knew now. He wasn't the same kid they'd seen walk back. A woman in a beige coat leaned toward him. "Can I say something?" Ethan turned. "You just did." She smiled faintly. "You showed more poise than most adults. I didn't speak up, but I saw it." Ethan waited. "Silence favors the loudest," she said. "I won't stay quiet again." It wasn't grand, just honest. Ethan nodded. That was enough. Not apologies, just truth. The cabin's weight settled heavier but clearer. A man in a blue suit typed a LinkedIn post. Today, a young man showed quiet leadership. No shouts, just dignity. Bias, silence, consequence, I saw it all. That's not taught, it's lived. He posted, exhaling. Mia filed her report. Passenger in 2A removed without ticket check. Crew member used force, ignored protocol. Passengers stayed calm. Recommend investigation. She signed it, feeling lighter, knowing it was a step toward change. Ethan looked at his hands. steady, calm. He knew Carla's mistake wasn't just the shove. It was the assumption, the unchallenged silence. He didn't want her fired, but for her to see the harm in her choice. His phone buzzed. His father. "Statement's out soon. You can speak if you want. I'm with you." Ethan replied, "It's not about me. It's about everyone told to move quietly. My seat just made it loud." Dawn crept through the windows, cabin glowing faintly. Passengers stirred, but the tension held. They knew the flight's story wasn't over. Ethan fastened his belt, mind on what waited at the gate. Not cameras, but truth. The captain announced descent. "Fasten seatbelts, stow items, landing soon." The words were routine, but the cabin felt heavy. Everyone sensed the story would outlast the flight, carried by the young man in 2A. Ethan stayed still, thoughts on the gate. He wanted no fanfare, just for the truth to land with him. Passengers adjusted seats, but their eyes lingered on him, knowing they'd seen something unforgettable. In row 5, a father whispered to his son, "Sometimes people judge looks, and silence makes it worse." The guy didn't stay quiet. The boy, 12, stared at Ethan, awed, learning what standing up could mean. Mia prepped for landing, but her mind stayed on Carla's exit, the cabin's shift. This flight would mark her career, not for chaos, but for witnessing a moment that changed how she saw her role. The captain gave final orders. Attendants moved briskly, but their steps held caution, like every action was watched. Ethan's phone buzzed. His father. "Security and PR at the gate. No cameras as you wanted." Ethan replied, "Let them wait. I'm last off." He wanted to see the passengers' faces. Those who watched, whispered, or turned away, not to judge, but to remind them presence matters. The plane touched down softly. Brakes hissed. Engines slowed. A few clapped, then stopped, the mood too heavy. The seatbelt sign clicked off. Passengers hesitated, moving slowly, not rushing, as if waiting for something beyond the landing call. One by one, they passed Ethan, some nodding, some averting eyes. A few whispered, "Thank you." He stayed seated, watching, letting their presence speak. The cabin emptied, leaving him alone in the now silent first class. The plane was bare, aisles clear. Ethan sat in 2A, hands folded, calm. The silence wasn't empty. It held purpose. Every second he stayed said, "I'm not hiding." Mia watched, her throat tight, feeling the moment's weight. The jet bridge door hissed open. 3 entered, a man in a dark suit, a woman with a tablet, a third with a badge. They approached slowly. "Ethan, I'm Paul, PR," the man said. What happened was inexcusable. Ethan studied them, silent. Paul continued, "The attendant's off duty, under review. We're revising training, issuing an apology." The woman added, "If you speak publicly, we'll back you." Their sincerity was polished, cautious, but real. Ethan spoke, voice steady. "I don't want headlines. I want change. Real training, not checkboxes. Tell it to everyone who stayed silent, because their quiet was louder than her shove." The trio nodded, absorbing his words. He stood, grabbing his bag. "This isn't about me," he said. "It's about everyone moved to the back without a check, who didn't have a voice." Paul swallowed. "We understand." Ethan stepped forward, ready to leave. Mia stood by the cockpit, eyes on Ethan. He paused, turning to her. "You didn't say much, but you saw it. That counts." She nodded, feeling her role shift from routine to witness in a moment that mattered. Ethan walked off, into the jet bridge, into dawn's light. No cameras, no crowd, just the weight of a truth that would outlive the flight, carried by a 19-year-old who'd changed everything with silence and one call. The cabin stayed quiet but not empty. It held what Ethan had shown, a story bigger than a seat or a pass. Some flights go beyond destinations, and some passengers like him are never unseen again. If this story resonated, share your thoughts below and follow for more. Ethan's stand wasn't just a moment. It was a shift, a reminder that silence can break and truth can land louder than any engine. The plane sat still, its echo lingering. Passengers were gone, but the cabin held their glances, their whispers, their regrets. Ethan's presence had rewritten the flight's story, leaving a mark no statement could erase. Mia stood alone, reflecting. She'd served countless flights, but this one redefined her. Ethan's calm, his resolve, showed her that truth doesn't need noise. It needs eyes that see and hearts that act. Outside, the sky brightened, a new day unfolding. Ethan's steps carried him forward, not to fame, but to a world now watching, where one seat in first class had sparked a change that wouldn't fade. The cabin of Flight 672 sat frozen at the gate, 300 feet from the runway, its engines silent, the air thick with a tension that clung to every seat like morning fog. Ethan Harper, a 19-year-old in a gray sweatshirt, had just been shoved from his first-class seat to the back row by Carla, a flight attendant whose sharp eyes and sharper assumptions had misjudged him. Her hand struck his with a smack that echoed louder than the jet's hum, her voice slicing through the cabin. "You don't belong here." Yet Ethan's single, quiet call to his father, a billionaire who owned the airline, grounded the plane and flipped the script. By 35,000 feet, Carla was gone, her career unraveling, and the passengers' whispers filled the void she left. This story, raw and electric, carries two lessons that burn brighter than the dawn, light creeping through the cabin windows at landing. First, silence is not neutral. It's a choice that amplifies injustice. When Carla shoved Ethan, the passengers in first class, from the man in the navy jacket to the woman in the beige coat, watched but said nothing. Their eyes darted away, their hands stayed still, and their silence let her assumption that Ethan, young and unassuming, couldn't possibly belong, grow unchecked. It wasn't until Ethan's call froze the flight that their regret surfaced, too late to undo the sting of their inaction. The man later admitted, "I froze," his voice heavy with shame, but Ethan's reply cut deeper. Silence lets it grow. In American workplaces, schools, or streets, where bias can flare in a glance or a word, staying quiet isn't staying out of it, it's picking a side. The second lesson is that truth, wielded with calm, can shift power faster than any shout. Ethan didn't yell or fight when Carla pushed him. He sat in the back, typed one message, and let the consequences roll. By the time the plane taxied to the gate, 5 miles from the city's heart, Carla was off the flight, and the cabin buzzed with a new awareness. Mia, the younger attendant, saw it clearest. You didn't let her hide. Ethan's restraint, his refusal to let her assumption erase him, turned a single seat into a stage for accountability. In a culture that often rewards noise, think cable news or viral rants, his quiet resolve proved stronger, trending online with 90,000 views before landing. At 6 a.m., as the jet bridge door hissed open, Ethan walked off, not seeking headlines but carrying a truth that outlasted the 3-hour flight. These lessons, silence's cost and truth's quiet power, aren't just for airplanes. They're for boardrooms, classrooms, or any corner of America where someone's judged before they're known. Ethan's story, sealed in that cabin, reminds us that change doesn't need a fist. It needs eyes that see, voices that speak, and a resolve that won't move, even when told to take the back seat. What would you have done in Ethan's shoes? facing Carla's shove and the cabin's silence. Share your thoughts below. Could you stay calm or would you speak up? Like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more gripping stories that spark real change. Every week, we dive into tales like this, unpacking lessons on courage, truth, and breaking silence. Your engagement fuels these conversations, so hit that bell icon to never miss a video. Join our community, add your voice, and let's uncover the power of standing tall together. What's your take? Let's hear it. Let's hear.